Happening in Fulton, health professionals warn that the nation is in the midst of the most difficult time of the pandemic. We'll have a full report of what the county is doing about COVID-19.
And what should families do if someone in the home tested positive for COVID-19? I'm Priscilla Baylog, and I'll have that answer.
And early voting is underway right now in the runoff election that the entire country is watching. The Fulton manager joins us with details on the new election site partnership and other important county updates. Those stories and more on this edition of Fulton Today that starts right now. Welcome everyone, I'm Dante Carter in for Shania Chavis-Rucker. We begin with two stories in the state's largest county, the resurgence of COVID-19 and of course the Senate runoff election and early voting that starts this week. First, COVID-19. As we mentioned, health professionals, both nationally and locally, are all warning residents to be vigilant and careful as the newest wave of COVID-19 is proving dangerous and deadly. Fulton's Board of Health is continuing with its multiple testing sites daily and is also offering flu vaccines. Fulton's county manager is watching the trends closely. Dick Anderson joins us again. Mr. Manager, we appear to be in yet another wave of the pandemic. How is the county responding?
Well, I would say truly now we are in the second wave. In fact, all of the statistics would indicate that. The most troubling, I think, statistic is the number of new cases. So at a low point, we were in the 60s. We're now approaching 240 new cases per day. So you can easily do the math to see that that's almost 4 times. But it's also double where we were just about a month ago. So that's clearly not a good trend. In addition to that, when we test folks, we're now above that kind of floor level of 5%. We're about 7.5% now testing positive. And generally speaking, 5% is where you want to be to do effective contact tracing. So both of those things together are troubling. Nothing is, though, more troubling than the death rate, which is going up in Fulton County. We're at about 2 deaths now being recorded per day. And that was from a low point of about a half or so per day. So you can see that the virus continues, the virus is deadly, and we've got to take every action possible to mitigate that. One of the ones, of course, that we continue to offer our citizens, and they are now taking advantage of up to 5,000 times a day, is COVID testing. So both through our fixed sites and our mobile sites, we have a robust program. It has now surpassed 1 million tests in Fulton County, and that was a goal that we set early on, and at the time really didn't know how we would do it in terms of all of the partners that had to be assembled, in terms of hospitals, the National Guard, our own capabilities with our Board of Health, but we have done it. And the good news in that is we continue to be less and less as a percent of the total cases in Georgia represented in Fulton County. So we're now down to about 7.5% of the total caseload. And of course, our population is 10% of the total of Georgia population. So you can see that our efforts have had a material difference in mitigating the virus for our citizens. But these trends still call on us to do everything possible to mitigate the spread of the virus, particularly as we move into this holiday period. So you can think of, again, all of the basics that we all know: wearing a mask, keeping 6 feet of distance, hand sanitization, and really avoiding crowds of any nature. So if you can follow those simple guidelines, you're taking care of yourself, you're taking care of your family, you're taking care of your work colleagues, and others in the community. So we're emphasizing that message through our Fulton U campaign, through a message from our chairman that went out over the holidays, as well as we're using the emergency management notification system, which is kind of an unusual twist, but we see this as an emergency, that the use of that system is most appropriate to get the message out to our citizens in Fulton County to take all appropriate precautions.
And switching now to the other big story, there's still quite a bit of election news centered around the county with national interest. What has struck you about how Fulton has and is still responding?
Well, I think the thing that's really struck me about this is a couple of 3 things. One, our core election staff literally works day and night, and I mean that. They will be there at 11 p.m., they may show back up at 7 a.m., but their sole focus is doing elections in an open and fair manner. And I've been very impressed by that. In addition, what I've been impressed by is every time that we've sent a call out for our employees to respond, wherever we needed them, whether it was moving machines in the middle of the night, or whether it's just simply being a poll worker at a poll place. I've seen people from Public Works, from the libraries, from the Board of Health, from our administrative staff that have just risen to the call. And I've been so impressed by that. It's the epitome of public service. So we still have more work to do in front of us. And of course, the runoff is a very important election on a national basis. So again, we can anticipate, of course, all the ad campaigns that we're all seeing on our radios, TVs, and the like. But we can also anticipate a pretty heavy turnout. Hard to say how many, but we'll have all of our locations that were previously open again and staffed. In fact, we were just looking at some of the staffing plans recently, and there'll be another 3,000 or so folks that need to be in those polls working to ensure voters can cast their votes. But we're well on the way to having that in place and the people recruited and then redeployed again. So we anticipate that this will go successful, and we believe, in fact, our chairman has said we got an A+ from a lot of different sources for running the November election. So our goal is to have that same type of result in January.
And we mentioned there are partnerships again with this early voting period, including a new one.
Last election, one of the things that we got a huge amount of national credit for was our partnership with the Atlanta Hawks and the use of State Farm Arena as a mega voting site, which eliminated any lines at that site and, quite frankly, relieved a lot of pressure on other sites, minimizing lines at those sites. This time, both the Hawks will be playing basketball, so we can't use their facility for the entire period, but we intend to use it at the beginning of early voting. But now we've formed another partnership with another Atlanta sports team, the Atlanta Falcons. So we'll be able to use Mercedes-Benz Stadium for the second half of early voting. So voters truly have the opportunity to visit one of two world-class sports arenas to cast their votes. And I just think it's phenomenal, and we should tip our hats to folks in the community like the Hawks, like the Falcons, that not only are concerned obviously about their teams, and they're in the middle of seasons right now, or either beginning or ending one. They're dealing with COVID-19 themselves, but they still step forward and want their facilities to be partnered with Fulton County and their brand to be partnered with the Fulton County brand to deliver a world-class voting experience. So that is the new news for this runoff season.
Are there any final thoughts, sir?
Well, I think my final thoughts are probably what most folks' final thoughts are. I'll be glad when 2020 is over. Now, I don't think it's going to be that we're going to just simply drop the curtain and 2021 is going to be completely different. But a few things we do know. I think we do know that a vaccine is imminent. Now, how it will be delivered and what kind of capabilities Fulton County will need to bring to the table to do that is still to be determined. But one thing that I can say with certainty, and that is it goes back to an old Apollo 13 quote, which is failure is not an option. As we've encountered various obstacles along the way, and some of them were tremendously difficult to overcome, failure for our team has not been an option. So citizens should rest assured that as vaccines become available, as distribution of those vaccines is a critical link in being able to deliver that to the public, that public education about vaccines and their importance becomes one of the things that I think we'll have to do. We have the capabilities and the commitment to make that happen. So I do believe just on that basis alone, 2021 will be different. Also, as vaccines obviously resolve much of the issues around the virus, then I think our economy can fully kick back into gear. And we certainly stand ready with our workforce development programs, our economic development team to help our small businesses look to Fulton County as a place to grow. And I think that's what 2021 will feel more like, will be growth as opposed to contraction. So from both of those standpoints, let's say goodbye to 2020 and hello to 2021.
As the manager mentioned, the runoff is underway. Our coverage continues with FGTV's Daryl Carver, who has the latest on early voting locations and the absentee ballot details.
Dante, the elections of 2020 will stretch into the first month of 2021 due to the Georgia runoffs for federal offices, including both Georgia seats in the U.S. Senate. Now, the registration to vote in this election ended on December 7th, but voters can cast their ballots at locations all over the county on weekdays from December 14th through December 30th. And in particularly on the weekends of December 19th and 20th, as well as December 26th and 27th. But also keep in mind that polls will in fact be closed for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, as well as New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. Now, the hours and locations are available on the Fulton County government website. Now, those locations include two mega sites that sports fans will be familiar with. From December 14th through the 19th, State Farm Arena will serve as a polling place, and from December 22nd through the 30th, you can vote at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. For those who want to cast their votes through the mail or via absentee ballots, you can do so outside Fulton County offices, libraries, senior centers, and other government buildings where you'll find drop boxes. Now, based on the requirements of the Georgia Secretary of State, the ballot drop boxes are located on county and municipal property that's accessible to the public. Now, each location has 24-hour video surveillance and recording on site to ensure that ballots left inside those boxes are in fact secure. Election workers will collect those ballots on a regular basis, and absentee ballot requests can be made by fax, mail, email, or by phone. Now, place a completed ballot in the slot at the top at any point before 7 p.m. on Election Day, January 5th, 2021, and your ballot will be among those counted. Now, for more information, visit the Fulton Elections page at fultonelections.com or the Secretary of State's My Voter page at mvp.sos.ga.gov. Reporting from Fulton County, I'm Daryl Carver for FGTV.
Thanks, Daryl. And when we come back, those pandemic precautions that you should take once someone in your household tests positive and a rundown on the county's testing sites. Stay with us. As we shared with you earlier in the show, the number of cases of COVID-19 is surging, which means more families are finding themselves dealing with a positive diagnosis with someone in their home. So what should you do if that happens to you? FGTV's Priscilla Baylog has details on what health officials say you should do and you should assume.
Health officials say the first thing you need to do if someone in your household tested positive for COVID-19 is isolate them, and then everyone else in that house should assume they are positive for COVID-19 as well and quarantine. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the person who tested positive should stay in their own room, especially when eating, and use a separate bathroom if possible. If you have to use a shared space with them, make sure the room has good airflow and open windows if possible. Improving ventilation helps remove respiratory droplets from the air. If having to share a bathroom, the sick person should clean and disinfect after themselves each time. If that is not possible, they should wear a mask, and others should wait as long as possible before using the bathroom. The caregiver for the sick person should not be someone who is at higher risk for severe illness from COVID. High-touch areas like doorknobs and remotes should be disinfected. The CDC also recommends those in the household stay home for 14 days and watch for symptoms. Those who want to get tested can look at the county's website, fultoncountygA.gov/COVID-19 testing. Testing sites are offered at various times and locations around the county. According to the CDC, the caretaker and sick person should wear a mask when in the same room and wear gloves when handling laundry, dirty dishes, or trash. Reporting for FGTV, I'm Priscilla Baylog.
Thanks, Priscilla. Up next, how Fulton is using social programming to keep seniors engaged during the pandemic. Stay with us. In response to the pandemic and its impact on older adults, Fulton Senior Services team has developed and launched a new virtual program. It's called Adult Day Health Program Without Walls. Erica Flack is a program manager of the county's Adult Day Health Services. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Can virtual programs help keep seniors physically active?
Yes, certainly. The Fulton County Department of Senior Services Adult Day Health Program Without Walls offers fitness classes 30 minutes per day, at least 2 days a week. We offer strength training, range of motion, yoga and meditation, and walking club.
And how does virtual programming assist the seniors with socialization?
So human beings are socially inclined by nature, as you know, and the pandemic has decreased our ability to socialize with each other. Loneliness, isolation are serious issues that can affect the physical and mental health of older adults. And so to help seniors struggling with isolation, we've developed the virtual programming to be able to come into the homes every day and provide company, if you will, again, to decrease that isolation.
How would virtual programming benefit my loved ones?
Yes, so social isolation is a real concern. Although your loved one is a part of a family unit, during the day, children, loved ones are often engaged in educational pursuits or handling family business. Our program seeks to actively engage older adults. It seeks to challenge and entertain them and hopefully slow cognitive decline within your loved one.
Do you have any final thoughts?
Yes, just to reiterate that this new program enables Adult Day Health participants to join customized activities Monday through Friday from the safety of their own homes. And that is our goal, again, to be able to provide these activities, but also provide them safely.
Erica Flack, great work that you are doing. Thank you so much for your time.
Yes, thank you for having me.
The Adult Day virtual program is just one of many that Fulton County is offering in addition to the online services during the pandemic. Visit fultoncountyga.gov for all the details. And before we go, our reminder that FGTV wants to connect with you online. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also check us out on our YouTube channel, so please subscribe. Well, that does it for this edition of Fulton Today. I'm Dante Carter in for Shania Chavis Rucker. Thank you so much for watching. Join us each week for news around and about Fulton County.